So, welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to completely rewire how you think about capturing your products. Our whole goal here is to build a really robust mental model, a wholesome understanding, if you will, so you can take absolutely professional-looking photos right at home and do it on a super tight budget. We're going to break down exactly how light, background, and your camera all work together. Listen, let's just immediately dismantle a huge misconception right out of the gate. Beginners almost always think they need thousands of dollars in fancy studio gear to get good shots. But I'm telling you, a product photo does not win because it looks expensive. The real secret to a great shot has absolutely zero to do with how much money you dropped on a camera lens. So if it's not the gear, we kind of have to ask, what actually makes a photo sell? Well, it's time to shift your mindset. We need to move away from just hoping you get lucky with a random shot and start understanding the predictable, repeatable system of choices behind every successful photograph. Because when people scroll past your product online, they aren't evaluating your camera setup, right? They are subconsciously asking themselves a few rapid-fire questions. A winning photo quietly answers three basic things for the viewer. What is this? What does it actually feel like? And why should I trust it? Think of your photo like a window. If the glass is clear, if it's well lit and uncluttered, people are going to stop and look. But if that window is messy or dark, they just keep walking, even if the product inside is literally the best thing ever. Okay, so here is the crucial anchor, and we'll keep coming back to this. A photo sells when it removes doubt. That's it. Strong photos empower your customers because they make the product easy to recognize, easy to imagine holding in their hands, and easy to believe in. You are essentially just removing any hesitation. All right, let's jump into section 1, the physics of light. Before we even think about styling or picking a camera, we have to talk about light. A super common beginner's mistake is thinking that good light just means really bright light. Actually, scratch that, it's completely backwards. Light is actually a shadow maker. If you just blast an object with perfectly even bright light from all sides, you completely flatten it. You lose all that crucial visual information the eye needs to actually read the shape. You see, direction matters way more than strength. Front light, well, that gives you a very clean, simple look. But if you move that light to the side, boom. Suddenly, shadows start falling across the object. Every single bump, every curve, and all the texture becomes super obvious. It makes the product feel truly dimensional, like you could reach out and touch it. We also really need to look at shadow edges. Hard light is kind of like standing right underneath a bare light bulb. It creates these sharp, dramatic edges that can unfortunately make any flaws much, much louder. Soft light, on the other hand, is like daylight filtering through a nice curtained window. It creates these gentle, gradual shadows that make the product feel calmer, smoother, and just way more forgiving. Soft light is an absolutely incredible tool for building trust. Now, please don't try to eliminate your shadows entirely. Shadows are definitely not defects. You actually need what we call useful shadow. Think of a coffee cup sitting on a table. That tiny little shadow underneath the cup tells your brain, hey, this is real. It occupies physical space. Useful shadow gives shape, it gives depth, and it separates your product from whatever happens to be behind it. The great news is that good light isn't magic. It's a highly repeatable system. Direction dictates where your shadows fall. Distance dictates how soft those shadows are, and your product's surface finish dictates the reflections. Honestly, it's a lot like cooking rice. The final result just depends on a few variables interacting in a system that you can easily understand. And you definitely don't need a luxury kitchen to do it. To quickly summarize the physics here, just remember this one thing. Light is not decoration. Light is information. The real test of your lighting isn't just whether it looks beautiful, it's clarity. Can you clearly see the shape? Can you tell exactly what material it's made of? Good light simply shows the absolute truth of the object with the least amount of visual confusion. Moving right along to section 2, the budget setup system. When people hear the word setup, they usually picture this massive shopping list of expensive gear. Let's completely reframe that today. A setup is really just a controlled stage where you manage exactly what the camera sees. And it only has 3 basic jobs: deliver usable light, create separation from the background, and hold your product intentionally. Believe me, cheap gear can absolutely do all of this flawlessly. Try to think of your home setup as a small geometry problem. It's like a giant puzzle with just 4 pieces. You've got your light source, the product itself, the background, and your camera viewpoint. If you randomly move any of these pieces around, the final image is going to unpredictably change. This is exactly why photos feel so inconsistent for beginners. But once you start seeing your setup as geometry, the whole process entirely stops feeling like guesswork. Now, your background is actually doing two totally invisible jobs. First, it provides physical separation, and second, it suggests emotional meaning, like is this item premium or is it rustic? This is exactly why simple backgrounds, like a roll of plain craft paper or a soft gray bedsheet, work so beautifully. Simple just means the background isn't stealing any attention away from your actual product. All these elements are constantly having a conversation with each other. The light tells the truth about the product's shape. The background frames that truth. And the camera position decides exactly how it is seen. Shooting straight on provides a sense of honesty and symmetry. Shooting slightly from above clarifies the overall shape. Your angle isn't just an afterthought, it's a huge part of the meaning you're conveying. To put this into perspective, consider the reality of a small handmade soap seller operating out of Karachi. They certainly don't need a massive commercial studio. They literally just use a table pulled up near a bright window, a piece of white chart paper for a backdrop, and a simple foam board to bounce some of that window light back into the shadows. Because they know which physical changes produce which visual results, they can create a perfectly clean, repeatable environment. No fancy gear required. So you see, a budget setup isn't some cheap workaround for missing gear. It's literally your own little laboratory where you learn what these visual variables actually do. And a strong, stable setup pays you back big time. You end up doing way less editing because the image is super clean right out of the camera, you have less uncertainty, and way less friction. You don't have to rebuild your entire look from scratch every single time you want to shoot a new product. Okay, let's wrap this up with Section 3, Building Your Seller Identity. You are officially no longer a person just crossing your fingers and hoping a photo works out. This identity shift is profound, honestly. You are now a visual decision maker. Always remember, your photo is your brand's very first voice. Long before a customer ever bothers to read your lovely product description, that image has already told them what the item is, how it feels, and if they can trust you. So when a shot looks weak, you don't just call it bad and throw your hands up. You diagnose it. You look at it and ask yourself, hey, is the light flattening the product here? Is the background a little too distracting? Is my camera angle hiding the true shape? You are totally empowered now to see visual problems as entirely readable and, far more importantly, entirely fixable. And having that kind of control, that gives you real confidence. You can build a wonderfully consistent seller identity, whether you want that to be super clean, bold, simple, or calm. And that consistency is what makes your small brand look incredibly serious and professional to buyers. And remember, that confidence comes solely from knowing why the image works, not from the price tag on your camera. Let me leave you with this thought. A strong product photo is not magic, and it is not luck. It is the visible result of clear choices that work together. You really do understand the system underneath the image now. You have that wholesome understanding of the mechanics of light, background, and perspective. You are totally ready to make images that don't just look pretty, but actually sell with crystal clarity. So, armed with this brand new systematic control over your visual space, what story will your next photo tell?